be
Digital
live
CEO.
soon.
We
All
are
right,
live.
and we're live. So we need to know if the audio is feeding in. Oh, I just muted ourselves. We should be good to go.
Yep.
So today we are going to talk about how to handle 15 client meetings in one day, what pitfalls to avoid, because we definitely made some mistakes today. We learned a lot today. We got a
Mm-hmm.
lot clearer with our team and our process. And we don't want you as an entrepreneur or entrepreneur, whether you're an account manager, managing all these different clients for a business you work in, or you're trying to start your own digital,
Mm-hmm.
empire and you're stuck communicating while delegating while working. So, big takeaway, Dennis, what was the number one thing you actually learned as the expert? What was the number one thing you learned about doing these 15 calls today?
You've got to have stamina. We started at 5 something a.m. and now it's 5 p.m. and it's dark. So we went from dark to dark. It's one thing when you want to handle one call with a client for 30 minutes, but if you're going to handle 15 of them, think about what you need to do in terms of taking care of your body. We're drinking kombucha here. We've got our gallon jugs of water. We've been eating. I like to go to Costco and we buy these chicken ramen bowls, which are fantastic. If your energy level isn't high enough for the client call, it's going to show through because the client call is probably 2/3 building relationship because they want to know who you are, you want to tell some jokes, and it's only 1/3 the mechanical transmission of what you're doing, or you might even argue it's a lot less. Some of our clients, they signed up with us because of relationship,
Yeah.
because they trust us. And we're not going to hit a home run every single time. So if you don't take care of yourself, get a good night's sleep, take care of your body, you're going to come off bleary eyed, especially if it's in a Zoom call where they can see your face.
Oh, yeah.
The camera doesn't lie.
Nope. And the recording won't lie either. We've had to go back and watch recordings, not in this session, but in the past, in study meetings. I used to do this myself of how could I be better? I'd go watch my recordings,
Mm-hmm.
especially after a long day, and I could see where my energy was off, where I used words that I shouldn't have used. My key takeaway is that you have to have the plan before, during, and after a meeting
Mm-hmm.
100% solidified. And so we actually have a meetings checklist that we use, but we got bulked down with 15 calls a day, almost another 15 tomorrow, and some more after then because things are speeding up so fast and we're the only ones who can hot hand it. And what I realized by not just having that checklist is that the follow up before a call, the day before, an hour before, even 5 minutes before is so critical because if you get 5 minutes behind when you have 15 calls
Mm-hmm.
during the day and you get 5 minutes behind 5 times, now you're 25 minutes behind and you
Mm-hmm.
might only be stuck with 5 minutes with somebody.
When you have a clear process, and in our case, we're using BaseCamp to take care of all the tasks. We have 4 key threads that the client is able to see. So we can just go into BaseCamp and see and pull up the reports, pull up other performance campaigns that we're running, pull up their social media accounts, pull up how they're ranking in Google. And thus it's so easy because we can just come in, be there a few minutes before the call, or in this case, most of them were back to back, and it's all right there. What we didn't have, but we need to have, is a clear one pager that says, hey, if you're a Cairo Revenue client, this is exactly what we're doing. This is the same one-page checklist that you signed up for when you bought our package. This is the same one-page checklist that we continue to go through every month. We set the expectation where we're going to show here's how we get the stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
Here's our associated training, just to say really quickly, here's what it is. But then they want to know the result, and you never need to show them the detail of the training. 90% of running a digital agency is having reliable processes executed by competent people.
Mm-hmm.
And thus, you, as the digital CEO, as the business owner, as the one who's managing the relationship, have to be strong on these subjective, nuanced factors that are not about the execution.
Yeah.
What Tristan was saying earlier is about the execution of making sure that you're ready for the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So go through the meetings checklist to look at what happens before, during, and after. So you don't make the common mistakes of not sending out the meeting invite the day before and then right before, because clients will forget.
They will forget, and
Yeah.
you might forget because I did that a
You,
few times today.
you might get the wrong time zone. You might
Exactly.
have sent the wrong Zoom link out.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to make these kinds of mistakes. So when you have this communication and the client confirms that that meeting's in place, then you're good. When you send out an agenda saying, this is what we're going to cover in the call, this is what the purpose of the call is, you're able to restrict the conversation to exactly what's going to drive the most value. In this case, We wanted to make sure that all clients were on the same page because of some hiccups that we had in merging our companies together. And thus, a 30-minute call was perfect for something like that.
Exactly.
Some of these we were able to go into the strategy a little bit. Others were able to just shoot the bull and see how they're doing because our results are going well. Others, they're migrating websites. They have other issues that we're dealing with, and we're able to tackle those and show them a clear plan on how to get those items done. So an agenda before the meeting clarifies what we want to get out of it and what we want to get done and what they want to get out of it and questions they have. And thus, how do we open the meeting?
Well, we opened the meeting very clearly by stating the objective of the day's meeting. Even though we've already reached out to the clients, we've said we're going to personally look at the accounts. Even when you send the meetings checklist for before, what you're going to cover during, and what to even try to expect after a
Mm-hmm.
meeting, you still set it in. So, welcome, Dr. Dennis. Thank you so much for taking the time to get with us today. As you know, we have three things we want to cover today. One is a general catch up, making sure that we know where everything's at. Two is your access, because we've
Mm-hmm.
actually lost some things in the shuffle. So we want to be able to take action based on that. And
Mm-hmm.
thirdly, the steps of what you can expect going on in the future. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
And they always say, yes, yes, you have a plan, you have an agenda, and you have to lead that meeting. So the meeting must have a leader,
Mm-hmm.
a key note taker, a key presenter, that person who is 100% accountable for the objectives of what's on that meeting's checklist being hit. When you bring in new people to the meeting, say they're other teammates who need to fill in some
Mm-hmm.
information, say the client or the person you're working with, say you're an entrepreneur and your business is working with another business and you need to get information. No matter how many parties are involved, you need to run that meeting.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid of asking, who can I hold accountable for this?
Mm-hmm.
Who is going to own this project on your guys' side that I can 100% follow up with? And if the client says, or the other business says, oh, it might be Dennis and Tristan, you need to clarify. So is it Dennis or is it Tristan?
Mm-hmm.
Because if two people are accountable, then nobody is. And we found that today in different clients'
Yeah.
accounts is that when you're running these meetings, you have to be able to take charge. And when you introduce new people, they cannot be using passive voice, slow ums and ahs. We could probably do that. You need to be firm and clear to the meetings checklist that
Mm-hmm.
you've set, and you
Mm-hmm.
need to lead that client or that other business or that customer down the path that you've set out for them.
What did we do at the end of each meeting?
We sent out meeting notes.
How many folks don't do that? And why is it important? And what's included in good meeting notes?
I'd say almost nobody does meeting notes. So there's three critical things, but there can always be extra things
Mm-hmm.
as well. So first is what you covered as a general
Mm-hmm.
summary and recording to the meeting. So if you don't have a Zoom 500 account, pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure they have like a $10 deal right now, right?
Yeah.
But you can get the cheapest version too. Always have a meeting recording
Mm-hmm.
for sure. And you have a summary, but then you send what you covered, what you're going to do, what you've done, and also what dependencies you have from the client. Here is what we need from you.
Mm-hmm.
Or not even the client, it could be the customer, or it could be the other business you're working with. It could
Mm-hmm.
be your employees, your team members. Dennis and I just had a meeting about Facebook ads. Here's what we covered. Here's what we've done. Here's what we need to do. Here's what I need from you, Dennis,
Mm-hmm.
in order to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Even if Dennis is running the meeting, I'll provide my own notes.
Yeah. Somebody's got to be taking notes because at the end of the meeting, if it was a good meeting, you had some decisions that were made. And from those decisions, there are tasks that need to be assigned to people with clear due dates. So if you have a meeting and you don't have a decision that you're clearly going to make, then it really doesn't make any sense. That should just be an update when you send something out. You could pre-record a 1 minute video, 2 minute video saying what's going on, but meetings are for deepening relationships and planning what needs to happen next through group decision making where the client and you agree this is what we're going to do next.
Keyword group decision making. The meeting is not group discussion making. The discussion leads to a decision. So there has to be clear decisions made of what we're going to do next and what we need to do to make it happen.
Whether you're an agency owner or you're a new manager or an experienced manager, one of the most common mistakes I see is using this as update one-way monologue. So probably one of the worst things that could happen, and I've been on the client side and had agencies run these meetings that I show up to that I don't want to go to, is they just read or go through a PowerPoint deck. And of course, I can read faster than they can go through the PowerPoints, and I see the words there, and I'll say, just give me the deck. I'll read it. I don't need you to read it to me. And thus that's abusing meetings. Related to that is inviting too many people. We
Hmm.
had some meetings where people who had nothing to contribute to the meeting were there, burning time, which maybe they're on salary, so their cost is the same. Maybe they're hourly, or maybe they're billing someone else. What you don't want to do is have meeting cruft from having lots of people involved. Now, it's okay if the client does that because that's on their dime.
Exactly.
But be careful, even if you're not paying for those other people, they could interfere if we don't have clear roles on who's responsible for what. The bigger clients will have that. And if you get fortunate or unfortunate enough to have a Microsoft or a Red Bull as a client, then you know exactly what I'm talking about.
And so to wrap up, guys, we learned a lot from having 15 calls just today. And we've been doing a lot of meetings for the past few years, but to do them back to back to back was a quick
Mm-hmm.
refresher. It's like jumping in the cold tub.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that some of the main points is for sure come prepared with your meetings checklist,
Mm-hmm.
which we have the documentation for. If you want that, just comment below, send me the meetings checklist.
Yep.
Maybe we'll put it in the description,
Yep.
and we'll send you the exact training on how to do a meeting. Secondly, someone has to lead the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And thirdly, there must be notes after that meeting that summarizes the decisions that were made and who's accountable for them. And I know that there's other key points we might be missing, so I want to pass it to Dennis, but those are the three things that I know for sure that I haven't been executing in every single meeting I've had that I need to make sure they're the standard for myself and my teammates.
And number four, the most important is you have follow up. So we made a decision, right? We got everyone together, you got high energy. You have everything in place to be able to discuss with the right people because we're making a decision.
Mm,
We have a summary of what needs to happen with the meeting minutes. And then number four is we need to execute. And you could have the best meeting in the world. How many times have you had a discussion with a client and they agree to do something like, yes, you won the deal, let's go out and celebrate, but you didn't follow through?
yeah.
Never celebrate just because the client said yes, even if it's a lot of money, even if you've been working hard for it, because that's only the beginning. You still need to get the work done. So in our 15 meetings, think about the number of, let's estimate how many tasks do you think there were?
Over 100.
How much work do you think that is?
Over 100 tasks
Yeah.
realistically
Yeah.
to follow through.
Yeah.
It's actually not that much to follow through.
Actually, the follow through is not, but there are people that need to do the particular tasks and we need to make sure they're being done properly. So, this is when we need to have proper, reliable, and competent. You'll hear me say reliable and competent all the time execution by your operations team, where they know how to do those particular tasks. Every task that you're assigning out, unless it's a one off, should be something that you have training and process against so it can be done repeatedly.
Yep.
So, look at what you're doing whether you're running an agency or you're a digital CEO because you're operating something else. What are those repeatable tasks? Have you documented how they're being done? And then when you go into meetings, it's a matter of deciding you're the orchestra conductor. Which of these items do we want to do? And you know those items can reliably and competently be done. If you do that, you're going to be a boss. You can have 15 meetings in one day and have no fear about whether you can do it again because we've got 15 meetings tomorrow starting at 5:30 a.m.
15 tomorrow. We might have some more key takeaways then. So, this is the Digital CEO podcast. And the simple fact is, guys, you're a digital CEO. With this digital landscape, whether you love it or not, you've got to get used to online meetings and you've got to get them under control. So, we have other videos as well that talk about personal efficiency. They talk about managing clients. They talk about all the other things that you need to do to see success in this area. Brought to you by the man, the myth, the legend, Dennis Yu, and myself, a CEO in training, Tristan Parmley. Please comment below if you'd like the meeting checklist, and we'll make sure we send that to you. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
And hit subscribe if you like the content.
Yeah, always subscribe. It's free.